Well, good afternoon, happy stampers, and welcome to my happy stamping studio. This is Judy Anderson with judystamps.com, and I hope to inspire you in your everyday paper crafting. So today we are going to be using the Spotlight on Nature stamp set. The stamp set has 7 stamps, 2 of which are sentiments, and we're going to be using both these sentiments today. We're going to be doing some stamping on some designer series paper using our Stampin' Blends. And this is a very simple layered card that you could up the game a little bit, or it's just great for those beginning stampers too. As we go along, I will give you some tips if you are an avid stamper on some changes that you could make with this card today. So besides the Spotlight on Nature stamp set, we're going to be using some cardstock and some designer series paper. The designer series paper I'm using is the Full of Life 6x6 designer series paper stack, and I'm using this pattern that's got citrusy, springy colors to them. We're using a peach pie base and then some old olive mats and some basic white. Very simple layering today. We are going to be coloring with our Stampin' Blends. I have an assorted greens and peach pie, and I do have a color lifter just in case we get out of the lines a little bit with our coloring. Our inks that we're going to be using today are our Old Olive and our Memento. So let's get started. We're going to start with our designer series paper. Now, if you don't have the designer series paper, you could take your blending brushes, your Calypso Coral, your pumpkin pie, your peach pie, your lemon lime twist, your granny apple green, even maybe a little bit of the old olive, and use your Stampin' Blends to create a background. But I'm taking the easy path today, and we're using designer series paper. We're going to take our old olive ink and our hashtag type pattern, and we're going to be stamping on our designer series paper. And we're just going to stamp, and you'll notice that as I stamp, I turn my paper so I don't have to worry about which direction my stamps are going. I can just turn the paper and it does the work for me. I'm making sure that I go off the edges of the designer series paper so that carries the pattern all the way to the edge of the paper. Okay, so next we're going to grab our basic white mat. Now for the measurements, you can go to my blog, which is judystamps.com, and I will have all the measurements there for you. We are going to take our thanks stamp, and in this lower left hand corner, we're going to just stamp thanks. Just a simple sentiment, a simple stamp. Now we're going to stamp our flower images, and I'm going to take my Memento ink pad to my stamp. I don't want this to be too dark when we get to our flowers and some of the detail. So I find that taking my ink pad to my stamps, I have better control of where my ink is going. I'm going to turn this over, and I just want to get this to the right of the thanks and make sure that it's on my cardstock. I'm going to give it a good press. If you want, you can rub it a little bit. But a nice, good image there. Okay, while we have our Memento out, we're going to get the inside of our card. And this is going to be the mat for the inside. And we are going to be stamping the leaf image. I like mixing my images a little bit from the outside to the inside. You could even stamp on your envelope. I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to have this leaf coming down this way. In this lower corner, just press it very easily. And then in the center, I'm going to put Dear Friend. Now you may be thinking, well, I could have put Dear Friend on the front and thanks on the inside, but this one, I just wanted to reverse it a little bit for a little change up. There we go. It works either way. So we're done with our stamping. So next we are going to do our coloring. So I am going to take my 3 greens and begin coloring. I'm going to start with my Old Olive, the darker of the 3 colors, and just feather that out. Doing the darker where I want it a little bit darker and shading in those areas. And I'm just doing a flicking with my pen or my blender and just bringing that up. Now we're not going to be bringing the color all the way to the tips of these. I like leaving a little bit of white on the ends sometimes. So that's the dark color. The next darkest color is our Granny Apple Green. And this is the dark. And I'm going to go over what I just flicked and bring it just a little bit longer flicks. Okay, so I'm kind of filling that in a little bit and bringing that color out by going over that color that's already there. Okay, just once again bringing that color. Now I'm going to use my lemon lime twist, and this is the light, and I'm going over both of those colors and flicking up. And I don't have to go over those colors as much, but when you go over the darker color with a lighter color, it does kind of lighten that color up a little bit because your lighter color sits on top. So that's a little trick with using your Stampin' Blends. And like I said, I'm not going all the way up to the tip. Okay, we're done with the inside. It's just going to stay just like that. Okay, next we're going to work on our flowers. Now we're going to do the same thing. Now these leaves are smaller, so I'm not using the Old Olive. I'm just going with the Granny Apple Green and the Lemon Lime Twist. You're going to find that when you have smaller images, you don't need to do as much coloring. So you use less colors. I could have also chosen just to use the dark and light of the Lemon Lime Twist, but I like the depth that the Granny Apple Green gives me. And once again, I'm flicking. Hear that squeaking noise? I'm blending that color up. And I'm not going all the way to the tips again. Just bringing that color up. Okay, now we're going to grab our peach pie colors. Now I've got the dark and I've got the light. We're going to start with the dark and we're going to do the same flicking motion, and I just want to add a little bit of color to these flowers. Once again, I am not going all the way up into the petals, and I'm paying attention to which petal is on top and which petal is below. So this top one is not going to have hardly any of the dark. It's just going to have a little bit right there at the bottom. So I'm going to show you that. So that's what we have so far. Now we're going to take the light and go up. Now you could make a whole set of these cards just by choosing different designer series papers in this paper pack and doing different colored flowers. And I'm actually going to take some of the color down from the top in some of those shaded areas. Okay, just go over that, flicking that. Now it doesn't look like much color, but there's plenty of color on there just to give that softness. Okay, we're going to start putting these together. And I took my cues for my card from the designer series paper. I urge you to do that. Find your paper that you're going to use and then take the colors from that paper. Okay, our peach pie, we're going to fold in half. Take our bone folder and make sure we go ahead and burnish that fold line. Okay, the first thing we're going to put on is our designer series paper, and I'm going to be putting it on in this direction. I take my glue. Isn't this a cool pattern on the back? Also kind of trendy. We could have used that side, and actually I could have brought in to this one the Tranquil Tide or Pretty Peacock into that side. So I'm going to put this up. We're going to put it up towards the top, farther than the bottom. Next, we're going to take our Granny Apple Green and just put this on. And I'm bringing it down. Now you're going to notice I have a large reveal at the top, and I'm bringing this down so the reveal at the top and the reveal at the bottom is the same between the Designer Series paper and my old olive. And that's how we trick the eye to thinking that it's all centered on there. Just a little trick. Here we go, and then just mat this on. Now, if you're an avid stamper, you could do some embossing here. Once again, you can use your blending brushes to create that variation of spring-like colors. We could have added some more coloring to the front of our card. We could have shaded around the flowers, but I don't think that that's necessary. I like it sometimes with just that white. It makes those flowers pop on the front. We're going to take our old olive matte, and by adding that matte to the inside of your card, you're bringing that design to the inside too. So don't forget to stamp the inside of your cards also. I don't always stamp my sentiment, but I will always put a pattern of some type in there. Okay, so we've got that. So now we are going to take our little bee trinkets. I love bees, you guys know that. So we're going to take our bee trinkets and our glue, and we're going to put just a little dab here. So I just put my dots of glue on my paper. Oops, I don't want too much glue. There we go. We're just going to put a couple dabs of glue where we're going to place those bees at. So by doing this, it's easier to place that bee on the glue drop than it is taking and gluing the bee and then trying to get it onto the paper. Now look at these bees. Aren't they so cute? Look at that little cute little pattern of that bee. I am going to take my tweezers that actually come with our embossing kit and just attach the bees that way, and then just give it a little push to make sure that it's on there. And these can all be going in a different direction. Okay, flip this one over and put that one on right there. So as you can see, this is a nice splash of spring colors today using the Spotlight and Nature stamp set. I hope you guys enjoy this, and remember, every stamp tells a story and every project brings joy. Until we meet again, everybody, happy stamping!